In this episode of the IT Experts podcast, we help you work out how to sell the human way. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast, the only podcast to help MSPs scale to 1 million, and if already there, get to 5 and go faster. At the end of the day, isn't it all about building a business that works for you rather than you for it? I hope you enjoy the show. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast. Another special show today where we bring in our leadership coach, Julie Hutchison. How are you doing today, Julie?
I'm fabulous, thank you, and all very happy to be here.
Great stuff. Well, look, we're going to be talking about a rather interesting subject today, taken from one of the trainings at our recent two-day client events. Julie did an amazing session on selling the human way. Now, we know as MSPs, sales is a bit icky. It's a bit, oh my God, do I need to do this? It doesn't feel comfortable because of your technical profiles. It's quite difficult asking for money, and let alone this whole marketing thing, which can be long, expensive, a waste of time, and very, very frustrating. Now, we were actually going through our new client runway strategy at the time, and Judy said, let me do a session at the end about how to help people sell the human way, sell without kind of being sold to. And we're going to run through the key points of that today, which is going to be really, really exciting because it's a very, very different way to approach to building relationships, building rapport. So if you've got a match with someone and you think they can help you and they like you, then you're going to do business, aren't you? Which is a sale. So Julie, before we kind of get in a bit further, if people don't know who you are, do you just want to just explain who you are, what you do, and who you help?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm a team performance and leadership specialist, coach and trainer, and I work with technical experts who want to build their business because your business is only going to grow as big as you and your mindset as a leader and your behavior as a leader, because you need the team. And so I particularly work on helping you to grow yourself. So grow you, grow your team, grow your business.
Brilliant stuff. And what we're going to cover off in this session today? What's the kind of concept? Why are we talking about selling the human way? What's it all about?
Because even though we've got this great technical knowledge, people don't buy unless that you meet the need that they have.
Right.
And that's not just about a technical need, that's about a human need. And it's about trust. And so if we want people to buy, we have to build trust, because we know that we could go down the road and get something from Sainsbury's or Waitrose or wherever we want to be, but we don't. But we choose to go in certain places. And even though you can buy a loaf of bread from all of those places, you'll choose to go to a certain place. And that's what we're talking about here, is why is it that somebody will choose you over and above somebody else, even if you have the same technical product? And we want to be able to understand that so that we can utilize that, so that people will choose you because you are the prize. You are the one that they think, actually, do you know what? I want to be around. I want to be with you because I trust you to give me what I need.
And this kind of links in really nicely with some of the things we talk about the marketing, isn't it? Because a lot of MSPs think, well, look, guys, we all do the same. We all provide the same service. And if you think of that mindset, then it's just going to be a race to the bottom on price. Whereas what we're saying here is let's put a bit of thought into how you project yourself, how you come across, how you say things. And we're going to be coming on to one of my favorite trainings, apart from one of Stuart's, obviously, on the 6 human needs that we're going to talk about today. So it's around differentiating, isn't it? And really, and I guess communicating how you're different, isn't it? Is that the challenge really that most people have?
Well, I think it's more about listening. Yes, it is, but you're different because you're listening to what that person needs. So you can adapt. Let's say is, how do I understand what that person needs? How do I build trust and rapport with that person?
Yep.
How do I understand what they need so that I can appeal to even more people? Yeah, and so that if I know what people need, I build the rapport, I build the trust, and therefore they want to come to me directly.
Yeah.
And so it's much more about listening and watching and understanding people, understanding ourselves, and then picking the right approach.
Yeah.
Because then you can appeal to more people.
And, some people might be thinking this might be a little bit woo-woo, which it isn't really, but it's not kind of like standard sales stuff. But why is it important that both parties feel comfortable when they're going through a sales transaction or a sales process?
Well, two things. From the person who's buying, if you're not comfortable, you're not going to buy. You're going to go somewhere else where you feel comfortable. That's as simple as that.
Isn't it?
Years ago, you used to better buy a loaf of bread for 19p. You're not going to go down that shop if you don't feel comfortable being in that shop. You want to go where you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So that's one. But from the other perspective, and you mentioned it before, people, especially in this field, often feel more comfortable with the technical.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing is, if you talk tech at somebody, your client is probably not on the same level as you.
No.
Now, the minute they're not on the same level as you, I use an analogy sometimes, say, like wearing the lycra pants, Ian, and what I mean by that, I know what I mean by that is imagine that you're really good at running, Ian. I don't know if you are, but imagine that
before I got old.
Do you used to be?
Got old.
Okay, cool. And you're out there with your special trainers, that cost 200 quid, and your lycra pants that look super, super flash.
Thank you.
And you say to all your clients, like, I tell you what, I'm gonna show you how to get fit and go running. And they're like, oh my god, okay, right. Well, I need to get fit. All right. And you say, brilliant. Well, meet me on the track at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then you show up. They're there in their, I don't know, Tesco trainers and their old tracksuit bottoms, feeling really awkward. And you turn up. I've got this picture in my head now, I don't know why I'm talking about this.
I'm really sorry to everybody who can't now unsee what Julie's describing. I didn't know this was we were going to talk about this. But
no, I know, neither did I. But anyway, so there you are, and you're doing your stretching and your knees up, and you're like, aren't I fabulous? And they look at you, and then they're standing on that start line, and you say to them, right, ready, we're going to do a 100-meter dash to see how you are. Let's go. And you start running off at that pace. And they stand there. Now, half of them probably will turn around and run the other way. The other half stand there awkwardly thinking, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm not really comfortable, and I don't really want to do this. And there might be one that comes with you because they're really super keen and they understand what you're talking about. And the point is that none of them are ready for what you have to give when you showing up in your lycra pants. And so you're not meeting them where they are. Okay. If alternately you turn around and realize that their needs are that they're not very fit, or they don't know what to do, and they don't know how to get the right gear, or whatever the thing is they don't need. And you said, you know what, today, all we're going to do is I'm going to walk next to you. I'm going to walk you down this track, and we're just going to walk to start with. And let's just see how it feels to be on this track in the first place. And I'm going to then show you. I'm going to walk past that. I'm going to build rapport with you. I'm going to understand your needs. I'm going to see that you're not going to be able to run off and you haven't got the right equipment. And maybe we'll just do a little bit of a run, a little bit like a couple of 100 feet or something, or even 50 feet. And then we're going to walk again. And then I'm going to show you, I'm going to build it up. And I'm going to take you in the direction of how it's going to work for you. Now you've got somebody who trusts you. Now you've got rapport with somebody. You've met them where they are and you've matched them. You're pacing and you'll lead with them. When you lead somebody where they need to go, they will trust you. They will buy from you because now you don't make them feel bad. You understand them. You understand their needs. They don't feel like an idiot for not understanding all this technical stuff. And they'll be a loyal fan. You don't have to sell to them.
And this is actually, and I really, really do apologise to everybody listening to this about the whole lycra pant thing.
Yeah, sorry.
I didn't know it was going to go there, and I'm even frightened about it myself now. But in actual fact, just listening to you talking there, Julie, we're talking about how to, use the human way to get more sales. This is exactly the same as engaging with your team, getting your team to do things.
Oh God, yeah.
Having difficult conversations and building it in so that if you've got someone who's, who's not where you're at, you haven't built that rapport, you haven't built that relationship. I'm sorry,
it's
don't
not
put your
safe.
pants on and lead them around the track. Oh no, this is going to be a thing now. I'll wait till Stuart hears this. I'm never going to hear the end of it. I'll wait till the clients hear about this. I'm never going to hear the end of this when they say that. So, but anyway, brilliant explanation, Julie. I think that was really key about understanding the human, the needs, the rapport, the trust, and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
What are the 6 human needs? We talk about the 6 human needs. Give us an explanation on what they are and why they're important in this.
Yeah. So 6 human needs is just something a very famous guy called Tony Robbins, who's very big on neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, if we really want to get there. And I'm sure you know him. If you don't, look him up. And what he said is that, the 6 human needs are when we have a need, it drives our behavior. It drives our thinking, it drives our behavior. Okay. And if we don't have a need met, then we have an emotional response to that. Okay. That could be, I'll throw our teddies at the pram or whatever it might be. But we have these new human needs. And he said there were 6, and maybe there's more, I don't know. But I think these are a really good starter for 10. Okay. And what that means is if we start to understand what those are, for that person, because everybody will be different. Imagine it like a series of like a mixing desk in that, we've got 6 and it might be 10 out of 10 on one and 0 out of 10 on another, but a mixing desk. And so what they are first of all, the first 2, certainty and uncertainty, like the opposites. Okay. And what that means is that we all have a level of need for certainty. We want to be sure, we want to be safe. Okay. And some people, you'll know of these people where they won't do anything. They'd rather be bored and have a business that doesn't grow or a job they don't like, as long as they're getting paid a certain amount of money and they know their bills are paid or whatever. So they're safe in that area. And that is the highest one for them, let's say. Now, the problem with that, as I said there, is that you get bored if you have too much certainty. So everybody needs a level of uncertainty, or should we say variety, which means we need something to keep us going, keep us interested, keep us alive, And again, some people will need that and will be driven by, newness and change. And so there's a balance to be had against that certainty and uncertainty, because too much newness, too much change means everything's unstable. You get too much of that, you want to float back to certainty. Okay, so when we're looking at people, we can start to see, well, are they needing to tick the box of certainty or uncertainty? So you might see certainty might be, oh, that sounds risky, I don't think I want to do that. How is that? Has it been tried and tested? Or uncertainty, oh, it's a new thing, wonderful, we want to be first, let's have a go. So you start to hear what people are saying, and they'll tell you what their needs are without you having to say, are you needing certainty or uncertainty? The next one is significance. And what we mean by that is I need to know my place in the world. I need to kind of feel like I'm important in to matter. And 10 out of 10 significance might be, erring on the side of, everybody needs to be, it's all about me, let's say. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about that every single person, no matter how where they're coming from, needs some level of significance, and some less than others. But we all need it. So we need to feel like we matter. So when you're talking to somebody, if you're seeing that they need to be heard and they need to be noticed, if you don't notice or hear them, guess what? You are not going to sell to them. Yeah.
Julie, is that the same as the purpose and the why? We talk about people's why, and we talk about the purpose of your life and what you're trying to do. Is that the same as that?
It might come from that.
Right,
Their why might come from significance, but it also might come from something else that I'm going to talk about in a minute. It'll come from some of these. Imagine, my why is, we've only done 3 of these so far, but imagine my why might be, well, I want to create a really safe place. My why is I want safety. Yeah, that's about certainty. So it could come from any of them, but your why will probably come from these. Okay. So next one then, if we've got significance, say we've got connection and love, or should I say belonging, because sometimes when we say love, it scares people off. So what I mean by that is that, and this one is my big one really, is that people need to be around people. Some less than others, but is this a driver for the person that you're in front of? So in other words, if they feel a big sense of connection and wanting to be part of something, and you don't have that, and you're not offering something like that, where it's like, oh, this, we're one big family, and that means something to them, then great. If it doesn't mean anything to them, then you're not going to talk about it. So if you're listening to this person and hearing whether they are talking about belonging or connection or being part of a team or something like that, then utilize that information in a genuine way. Not manipulating the situation, but really understanding, is that something that they need to hear if I am to build rapport with them, to build trust with them? And therefore they feel like, yeah, I love being part of Ian's team, because actually they make me feel good when I ring up, because they make me feel like I really belong as a customer. I'm part of their gang. Yeah. And that means that they'll want to come to you. Now, again, if somebody's super not interested in that, then you don't need to mention it. Yeah? They might think that you're just wasting their time. So you need to know the answer to that. The next one is around growth, which is around how somebody needs to learn and grow. Again, in sales, that might be, are we going to be doing something that's going to develop us on them. If they're really keen for that, then great. Maybe not so much in terms of sales, but that might come up. The next one is contribution. Okay, contribution is different from significance. This is about somebody wanting to give back and somebody wants to do good in the world. So imagine that you're working with a company, or your customer in front of you is a company or a person that is really, really keen on how they're giving back and what it's all about. Maybe they do buy one, give one, or something like that, or just hearing how that they find that important in their own life, or whatever it is, finding about that human and really understanding that. Then maybe you can point out how, well, that's great because we do buy one, give one too, or oh, this is how we do some work for charity or something. But that gives a connection and builds that rapport for you, so you can feel that need. So specifically, I think a really, really important around here is that certainty, uncertainty, and significant belonging, those side of things. But all of these will be really important to just be listening out for when you're trying to build rapport. Because if somebody, let's say, really wants to be, ahead of the game and wants to do something new and wants to see the new technology and everything else, and you don't talk about that, then they're going to go somewhere else. Even if you could provide it, you just didn't really fulfill that need for them. You didn't make them certain that you were going to be able to fulfill that need. Perhaps that's more like it. So you don't actually have to fulfill the need right there and then, but they need to think that you're going to. They need to trust that you are going to meet these needs. Because when these needs are not met, that's when people start throwing their teddies out the pram. They start acting differently. They start complaining, or they start not wanting to be around you, and therefore you're going to lose out. You're going to lose a customer.
And you mentioned it right at the top of the show. This is actually about listening. It's about listening so that you can build rapport, so that you can then build that connection. And if you just understand what their key drivers are and their key, where they're at by using this, just the 6 human needs, then that's going to help you bring that forwards. How do we then apply this then in the sales environment? How do we, we've got all of this this information about this person and what we think they want and what we think they need and all of that, personally as well as in the business. How do we then apply that to help us close more business?
Well, the biggest thing that we need to do is that once we've heard those things, is think about, well, what is it they're telling me, and then feed that back. It's when I talk about meeting them where they are before. It's about saying, okay, well, for example, if somebody's saying, I don't want anything risky, is noting that and thinking, how can I deliver what I'm selling in terms of what they're talking about? So in their language, in mentioning the things that they mention, in covering off all of those signals that they're telling you. And that's about really listening to them. And I know that in what you teach in terms of your sales training, in terms of how you go through things, it's about really listening to what they're saying and then coming back with that. So for example, if they're talking about risk, then you can say, and the brilliant thing about what we can do for you is that we make sure that we cover off, we close all those holes, or we're very secure, or whatever it is. So you can tailor your delivery of what you offer to their needs.
Right. Okay. Got it. So can we apply this to frameworks to then help with that process to make it easier for people to understand?
Yeah, in terms of your frameworks, I know that you have your decision maker map. You've got that one, which really helps to identify. You've got who's in the room. So first of all, because this is just one thing. The 6 human needs is one thing. You've got other tools. So you're talking about let's look at the type of person that I've got in the room. Let's look at, maybe we've talked previously about DISC, around behavioural profiling of people and understanding yourself. And you also have your call framework where you can utilize that as well. And I think that's really, really important to use this within your normal frameworks of how you talk to your customers.
That's brilliant, Julie. Thanks very much for all of that. It's really, really interesting. So when we delivered this training, we delivered this session to the clients 3 or 4 weeks ago now. What feedback did you get from people afterwards? How did this resonate with the MSPs we had in the room?
I think that the biggest thing was about that they realised that they were unconscious of this area, and they needed to get conscious of it, because were putting themselves under pressure. And so they were thinking, I need to know more. I need to be more.
Yeah.
I need to show my technical prowess, or everything needs to be technically perfect for everything to be able to sell, which puts them under pressure.
Yeah.
And what I think they realized was actually it's not all about me.
Yeah.
It's not all about the technical stuff. It's about them. And therefore, if I meet them where they are, if I start to, go to that racetrack at the very start and walk with them and listen to them, then actually this isn't as hard. You said it before, a lot of people don't like sales.
Yeah.
This isn't as hard as they were making it. It's much easier if you do this, because you're going to get so much good information about what they need, what's important to them. And all you've got to do is look at how your product and your service and your company can give that to them.
Brilliant. That's great. Thank you, Julie, for that. We're going to wrap up in a minute, but just before we do, I just want to remind you guys of episode 123 of the podcast, where I shared the kind of secrets to helping you sell on value rather than on price, which kind of links in with this podcast really well to understand it's not just about the price, it's not just about the technology, it's about what's the business outcomes you're solving, what is in it for me from your prospects, from your customers, and it kind of links in with this. So, Julie, top tip, what's the big summary to take away from this show?
Don't wear your lycra pants, I think is the first one.
Why's that got to come up again?
But it's a good thing to think about. So don't wear your lycra pants.
It's not a good thing to think about at all. It's not a good thing to think about.
It is. And then listen to your customers. Listen for the clues. Play detective and listen to what they're actually telling you about what they need. Not the stuff on the surface, but underneath. And when you do that, life will be easier for you, because all you've got to do is give them that.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Julie. And if you're curious about how this particular element fits in within our Scale with Confidence model to help you build that MSP that works for you rather than you for it, then, we always invite you to come and take the MSP Mastery Quiz. And in just 3 minutes, you get a 360-degree scan of your business, and you can see exactly what it is you need to focus on right now to help you build that business, build that profitable, leveraged and fun business that we all deserve. So thank you very much, Julie. The link for the quiz, by the way, will be in the show notes. But thanks again for your time with this, Julie. I'm not going to thank you for the analogy and the running track, but we shall see where that goes.
It's never going to leave you now.
I look forward to some vendors sending me some lycra pants with their logos printed across the... Anyway, thanks very much. Again, have a great day, and we'll catch up with you guys on the next one. Cheers now.
Bye-bye.
So I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, I'd love it if you could leave a rating and review on your favourite podcast platform. If you want to learn more about how to take your MSP to $1 million, or if you're already there, go faster, then come and join Stuart Warwick and myself in the Scale with Confidence Facebook group. The link is in the show notes. You go and enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.